New calls from Senator Ted Cruz to abolish the IRS. He wants to just shut it down, send all the employees to guard the southern border. Does Judge Napolitano like the plan? Of course he does. But it's wildly impractical, isn't it? Napolitano is here after the break.
And I'll tell you the single most important tax reform. We should abolish the IRS.
Just in case you need another reason not to like the IRS, just in case. The agency is now saying that staff shortages could mean delayed tax refunds and maybe more identity theft this tax season. Now, separately, just listen to Senator Ted Cruz's solution. Roll the tape.
I'll tell you the single most important tax reform. We should abolish the IRS. There is a powerful populist instinct to take the 110,000 employees at the IRS, to padlock the building, and to put all 110,000 of them down on our southern border.
Go, Ted, go!
Oh, wait a minute, Judge. This is ridiculous.
Right.
No, wait a second. You know perfectly well the IRS will never, ever be abolished. This is a distraction. It's a waste of our political energy to chase this phantom of abolishing the IRS. It's not going to happen.
Actually, it might be a very good use of political energy for this reason. He is likely to be seeking the Republican nomination for president. Politicians often put out trial balloons to see how it goes. What is less popular right now amongst the conservative Republican base that will choose the next Republican nominee than the IRS? So this is probably a very popular thing for him to say, whether it's practical or not. Now, the other side of this is, he's not saying there should be no taxes. He's saying there should be a flat tax, where instead of in the Varney case, where your tax return is 16 inches thick, you would have an index card. What you earn times 0.13 equals what you owe. That's it. That's the type of simplicity that I believe Senator Cruz is suggesting. I believe you're going to hear that on the campaign trail in the Republican primaries a year from now, and you're going to see a lot of voters in favor of it.
Is that practical? Do you really think you could get that totally extensive,
I don't know how that works, and I don't know if you could do it overnight. But the goal would be simpler, easier, fairer, less costly, less bureaucracy. To that extent, and with that argument, I dare say, even Stuart Varney might agree.
Look, I'd agree with it, but what about the half of the population which works, which does not pay a dime in federal income tax? Do they care about the IRS? Of course they don't care. They don't pay tax.
Okay, so I'm not sure about which half you're talking about. Are you talking about the uber rich who receive money from sources that are not taxable, the bonds from the government? Or are you talking about people below the poverty line?
I'm talking about half the people who work in America do not pay federal income tax because they don't meet the tax threshold.
There are a variety of these flat tax programs out there. Some of them would give everybody a $100,000 deductible. Well, that would mean that more than half of the public doesn't pay any taxes. Some would give no one a deductible and would tax all income from whatever source derived, even welfare and Social Security.
Then you're going to need an enormous IRS to check up on everybody who now has to pay taxes.
That's a very good response, and that's part of the problem, because the goal here is not only to make taxes flatter and fairer, it's to get rid of the bureaucracy. So you have to find sort of a happy medium, a balance, a bureaucracy that services, not one that oppresses.
A happy medium? When have you ever come to a happy medium?
But you would agree with that also, wouldn't you? That the bureaucracy should serve rather than oppress? Sort of like the British civil servants?
Don't put words in my mouth. I'm interrupting your laughter because I've got to do breaking news.
Can we run the music from The Taxman by the Beatles?
I wish we could. Hold on a second. Stop the Beatles, because I don't love that song. I got breaking news. As expected, the House has voted to undo President Obama's immigration orders. Now, that, I think, means you separate out the executive orders and paying for them, separate it out from Homeland Security funding. I think that's just what the House did.